Tonight on Year to Date, smokers take heed. Does the Senate want to send you to jam?
SAC Director Scott Hansen provides a get-out-of-jail-free card.
And Student Government President Joe Vitalich joins the conversation.
Year to Date starts now.
Three weeks ago, we had Senator Nick Troiano on the program to discuss his bill on smoking policy, which has gotten widespread criticism from Student Government President Joe Vitalich. Over the course of this week, the Daily Jolt has hosted a heated discussion between students about AU's smoking policy. Most vocal in the debate were actually Troiano and Vitalich themselves. Senator Troiano's bill would have originally given public safety the right to enforce the smoking policy, which Vitalich was adamantly opposed to. In regards to an enforcement policy, Vitalich said, "I think that it is ridiculous that we need to legislate and create rules for our students. Just ask people. I am saying that with a PR campaign, we can get more than ordering people to not do something. AU students are not children, Nick. They deserve to be treated with respect." Senator Troiano responded by saying this: "It is unfair to say that advocating for such a regulation is treating students like children. You seem to not appreciate the seriousness of the topic. Again, I refer you to the SU study and to the American Cancer Society or to any asthmatic on campus. Ask them if this is about treating students like children and not protecting their health. Do we need a smoking policy that has teeth, or should we trust in a courtesy campaign?" With more on this tonight, I'll be getting a different point of view by talking with Class of 2011 Senator Ben Schorr, SIS Senator Christina Bartol, and Senator-at-Large Liz Gok. Thanks for joining us. First off, Senator Bartol, will a PR campaign work?
I think a properly planned PR campaign would work, but I mean, without proper rules to enforce it, it might be difficult. I mean, it's really just how you plan it and how you get the ball rolling with it.
Senator Schorr, is an enforcement necessary thing to stop the perceived smoking problem?
Not at all. That's why I agree with Joe a lot about the idea of not passing this bill with any sort of enforcement clause. You don't want public safety giving out citations, as I just heard a couple moments ago about community service being handed out, those sort of things with citations. Those are serious charges that get leveled on students and put on their records for smoking a cigarette. I personally am very much opposed to smoking and things like that, but there's no way that you can legislate those kind of things here on campus. The survey that was done, things like that, to measure the number of students on campus that were actually smoking, it was flawed. There are just a lot of flaws with the research on the bill and people that it was presented to. There weren't all points of view considered on this bill.
Senator Gok?
I just think it's really important to realize that we're still working on this bill. It's still in the works. Yes, currently there is an enforcement clause in place. We can talk about it as senators. We can get in more opinions. We are not required to pass this bill today or tomorrow, and we can spend as much time as necessary to create a good bill.
Well, there is, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
There is a special session, a joint committee session this Wednesday at 10 o'clock in Ward 203, talking about this. So, I mean, it looks like in the Senate we're trying to push this through without another smoking forum. So with that happening, I mean, I think that we're pretty much going past any other perspectives and things like that. We're pretty much just going to be compromising in the Senate and things like that. So I think that we should bring in as many people to that joint committee session as possible.
Okay. What I've been hearing is that all indicators point towards new President Kerwin coming out with a smoking policy at the end of the year, which is why the Senate would want to do something, so it shows that the students have an opinion about what should be done with smoking policy. If you had a chance to talk to President Kerwin, Senator Bartol, what would you ask him to do?
Well, I would ask him to definitely take into consideration whatever the Senate produces and use that as his #1 reference to creating his own smoking policy, whatever he and whoever he talks to thinks is best.
Senator Schorr?
Well, I originally liked the idea of a major PR campaign and spreading that around campus, but I always did like the idea of what they did at Georgetown with, you know, 25-foot courtesy around all of their buildings, and I think that if that was really put out there instead of just a PR campaign of considering what other people think, the actual courtesy clause being enumerated in magazines sent in over the summer to new students and things like that all over, I think that would be a better option too.
I think that the thing that the Senate seems to be struggling with, something that Senator Troiano has been talking about a lot, is enforcement or courtesy. And a lot of people think that courtesy is just not enough. I mean, I know President Vitalich thinks that it'll be treating the students like children, but I, for one, don't want to have people smoking outside my window when I want to have it open a little bit at night.
Right.
Senator Gach?
Well, I think it really is difficult to find a balance. However, if you get really technical, we do have lots of rules and regulations on this campus. Should we get rid of them and just expect people to be courteous?
Mm-hmm.
They're in place for a reason, because there is an issue that needs to be considered. And while we are trying to figure out the best way to go about it and we simply just don't know yet, I do think that we may have to fall back on enforcement.
Sure.
The idea of enforcement, though, is really where you get into a lot of trouble. All the options for enforcement are very severe. And I don't think that you can cite someone for smoking, I mean, beyond illegal drug use. You can't do that to people here on campus. It's not right. It's not ethical. And if it's worked at other campuses where it is courtesy-based, then I see no way of us treating people like children and things like that with just asking them to be courteous.
Okay. We're definitely going to be talking about this as the Senate pursues this. But on another note, American University celebrated the inauguration of its 14th president this weekend by having the inaugural ball for Cornelius Kerwin at the Italian Embassy. The highlight of the night for some is when a student threw up in front of the new president. This made some people question whether the university should have allowed an open bar. An anonymous AU official said that public safety kicked out at least 11 people due to underage drinking. Should there have been an open bar? And was the open bar at Founders Day hypocritical after their new policy on transports came into effect this past fall? Senator Bartol?
I don't think so. I mean, you have to remember that the Founders Day Ball was in conjunction with the inauguration party, and there were many adults and alumni there too, and having an inauguration party without alcohol, I mean, just culturally, it's just a given, I suppose. I mean, that's just the way it was.
Senator Schorr?
It just gets out of hand, and you have to expect that some people can get sick on little or nothing. So I mean, if they're a lightweight, they're asked to wait outside or only to take a couple sips. What can you do?
Senator Gach, I mean, I wasn't at the event. Were you at the event? Yes.
I was there.
And you were as well, Senator Bartol. Senator Schorr was not able to attend. But it seemed very easy, from what I've heard, for underage people to get a drink. Should the university have done more to keep that under wraps, or work on that?
You have to consider the number of people that were there, the fact that we were legally on Italian soil, that there was no legal incentive for the university. It was very nice that they attempted to stamp hands. I never once had my hand checked at any given point, and a U and an O are very similar in dark lights. Maybe they could consider a different policy for next year, or even if they went to a bar that you had to pay for, maybe that would be a better option for them.
Before we close out, I wanted to ask, obviously last fall there was a new policy brought into effect on transports. Has the Senate decided to do anything about this? Are they pursuing, lobbying the administration to lessen the rules on this? Senator Bartol, do you know?
I haven't heard anything.
Well, on students' rights, we're currently working on the Students' Bill of Rights and the smoking bill, which is obviously taking forever, but with due process, obviously. But,
Certainly.
So we'll take the time to get that done. The Students' Bill of Rights we have to get done before the ballot initiative by the end of this month. So we will take into consideration the transport policy very soon.
Senator Gach, last thoughts?
And my understanding of the new transport policy was that it fell under housing and dining, and thus we had very little authority to make any definite changes. We're doing the best that we can, and we're really trying to keep communication open, and hopefully something will come to fruition.
Well, Senator Bartol, Senator Schorr, Senator Gach, thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having us.
No problem.
When we come back, Jason sits down with Student Advocacy Center Director Scott Hansen. Don't change the channel. We'll be right back.